With the return of John Mahama to the presidency, Ghana isn't just making headlines, it's shaking the global stage. His election is more than a national victory. It's a signal of growing resistance to Western dominance in Africa. For years, the continent has been treated as an afterthought in global affairs, often manipulated by foreign interests. But Mahama's leadership could mark the start of a new chapter, one where Africa asserts itself and rejects the old order that prioritized foreign agendas over African progress. Mahama, a former president and an outspoken Pan-Africanist, has stirred international debate by demanding the withdrawal of US troops from Ghana. This bold move reflects a rising continental sentiment, a widespread push to reclaim autonomy and redefine how African nations engage with global powers. His stance goes far beyond a military issue. It represents a larger battle against neocolonial structures that have lingered for decades. Under the guise of security, foreign troops have maintained a presence in several African nations, often undermining local authority and reinforcing a narrative that Africa cannot safeguard itself without external help. By calling for an end to this military arrangement, Mahama champions the core principles of Pan-Africanism: unity, independence, and self-determination. He's declaring that Ghana, and Africa at large, must take control of its own security and craft a future guided by its own priorities, not dictated by outside interests. This vision traces back to Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, who envisioned an Africa free from foreign domination. Mahama's position echoes that legacy, insisting that Africa's wealth and potential should be harnessed for the benefit of its people, not to serve geopolitical strategies from abroad. Foreign military bases come with unintended consequences. They can lead to reliance on external forces, inflame regional tensions, and alienate local populations. Mahama's demand is a call for Africa to rise above being used as a tool in global rivalries, to become a continent that confidently confronts its challenges on its own terms. Under Mahama, Ghana's voice is joining a growing continental chorus. Across Africa, people are rejecting outdated narratives and calling for equal treatment on the world stage. They seek genuine partnerships, not paternalism, collaboration, not control. What's happening in Ghana reflects a broader African awakening. Mahama's message is clear. It's time for African nations to unite, break free from undue external influence, and take bold steps toward full sovereignty. This isn't just a political moment. It's a declaration that Africa is ready to lead itself into the future. Once again, Ghana is positioning itself at the forefront of the Pan-African movement, boldly asserting that the future of Africa must be shaped by its own people. It's a powerful message, one that rejects dependency and champions sovereignty, with African nations controlling their own fate, resources, and choices. This isn't just a shift in foreign policy. It's a revolution in mindset. Ghana, under John Mahama's renewed leadership, is taking a stand against centuries of exploitation and control. But what truly separates Mahama from previous leaders? What makes his approach so different and potentially transformative? A battle for Ghana's identity. Mahama's return to power was more than just a political win. It marked a critical moment in Ghana's struggle for self-determination. His campaign was rooted in the goal of financial liberation, to free Ghana from the grip of foreign loans, external business influence, and the economic structures that have sustained dependency. Like many African countries, Ghana has long been stuck in a cycle of debt, dictated by international lenders and foreign interests. But Mahama is choosing a different path. He envisions a Ghana that thrives on its own terms, one that isn't just surviving but building toward long-term, homegrown prosperity. His vision goes beyond quick fixes. It's about reconstructing the nation's foundation through policies that empower Ghanaians and promote true independence. Over the next 4 years, Mahama plans to overhaul key institutions and rebuild public trust through governance reforms. Aware of the harm caused by past administrations, He has committed to working side by side with citizens to restore Ghana's status as the Black Star of Africa. This vision includes cutting ties with dependency on foreign aid and loans by strengthening local production and industries, enhancing food security by increasing domestic agricultural output, modernizing infrastructure and industries through technology to spur job creation, prioritizing education, and tapping into local talent to fuel national progress. Mahama's vision reaches beyond Ghana's borders. His strategy stands as a model for other African nations determined to escape the grip of neocolonial influence. By putting local solutions and innovation at the forefront, he is sending a firm message to the world. Africa is ready to stand tall without handouts or manipulation. Still, Mahama knows that one nation alone cannot break the chains of exploitation. His mission is grounded in unity, encouraging cooperation among African nations to resist foreign pressure and forge a shared destiny. Through collective strength, Mahama believes Africa can reclaim its future and shield itself from external domination. The road ahead won't be easy. Ghana's economy has suffered from decades of poor leadership and foreign interference, and the scars are deep. But Mahama remains steadfast. His leadership offers a renewed sense of purpose and a vision of an Africa that is proud, independent, and strong. Ultimately, Mahama's movement isn't only about Ghana's transformation. It's about lighting a fire across the continent. His message is clear. It's time for Africa to rise, to own its wealth, protect its dignity, and lead with one voice. The world is watching, and Ghana, under Mahama's guidance, is ready to show that Africa's future belongs to Africans alone. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by leaving a comment in the comments section below. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one. Let's proceed. There's a powerful shift unfolding across Africa, and Ghana is at the heart of it. While many nations focus inward, Ghana is thinking bigger, not just about its own progress, but about building a united, empowered continent. This isn't a solo mission. For decades, Ghana has stood shoulder to shoulder with other African nations, pushing for an end to foreign control. Now, that vision is gaining momentum, signaling a bold new era of African unity, pride, and self-rule. Under the leadership of John Mahama, Ghana has become a powerful voice against neocolonial influence. Mahama's message is unapologetic. Africa must stop depending on the West for development and protection. Instead, he calls for homegrown solutions, regional alliances, and Pan-African solidarity. Ghana is not alone. Countries like Burkina Faso and Mali have embraced the same fight, standing firm against outside interference and working together to strengthen continental bonds. Mahama's leadership is more than just symbolic. It represents a pivotal moment in Africa's modern history. His approach isn't limited to diplomacy or economics. It's about building a web of African support that transcends borders. He believes that progress for one country should elevate the entire continent. This mindset is reshaping Ghana's global role from a national player to a continental leader, pushing for true African cooperation and independence. Perhaps the boldest move yet has been Ghana's decision to close down US military bases on its soil. For years, the presence of American forces was justified under the banners of security and stability. But for Ghana and others, these installations stood as symbols of continued foreign control. The decision to remove them was a strategic step toward reclaiming national sovereignty and redefining who controls Africa's future. When Ghana said no more, the message rang loud across the continent. This wasn't just about removing troops. It was about rejecting the long-standing dynamic where African nations act under foreign instruction. Mahama's firm stance sent shockwaves through the region, encouraging other nations to take similar action, just like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Action. What began as a national decision quickly became a continental movement. And it's not stopping there. Across Africa, leaders and citizens are rallying around the idea of self-determination. From shutting down foreign military outposts to rejecting exploitative systems like the CFA franc, there is a clear shift. African nations are refusing to be used as pieces in the West's strategic games. Instead, they are stepping up, claiming their dignity and seizing control of their futures. Ghana have joined Mali and Burkina Faso in rejecting the status quo, turning away from foreign military support in favor of African-led solutions. Their vision includes joint security efforts, regional defense partnerships, and a united front against all forms of external domination. This is not merely resistance. It's a revolution rooted in decades of frustration and a yearning for freedom. The big question now is, where does Africa go from here? Can this momentum evolve into a powerful, continent-wide framework for managing Africa's security, wealth, and political destiny? If Ghana continues leading with boldness under Mahama, this awakening could very well blossom into a full-blown continental transformation, one where Africa finally breaks its chains and takes full command of its future. The road to full independence is far from smooth, but the unity and determination shown by Ghana and its allies shine as a beacon of hope for a liberated Africa. A powerful awakening is taking place across the continent, and the message is undeniable. Africa will no longer bow to outside control. United by a common purpose, countries like Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Mali are rewriting the story, one built on strength, unity, and self-rule. This is the birth of a sovereign Africa rising from the shadows of exploitation. For far too long, Africa has been cast as weak, dependent, and unstable, a narrative pushed by global powers to rationalize decades of domination. But the continent is now at a turning point. Africa is standing tall, challenging these outdated perceptions and declaring its rightful place as a land rich in culture, resources, and power. The wave of change sweeping across the continent is being led by a new generation of bold leaders who refuse to be silenced by neocolonial interests. Many African nations have long entered into secretive deals that sidestep legal and constitutional principles, often favoring foreign agendas. One example is Cape Verde, a small but geopolitically strategic West African island chain. Though not often in the spotlight, it reflects the silent battle many African states face in reclaiming control. From shutting down foreign military bases to rejecting unfair economic systems, African leaders are charting a bold new political direction. But this isn't just about removing foreign troops. It's about reclaiming the continent's destiny. Leaders like Ghana's John Mahama are driving a mission to redefine how Africa interacts with the world. The goal is not isolationism, but fairness. No longer will Africa accept being seen as a donor-dependent continent. It is demanding respect, dignity, and genuine partnership. One built on equality, not exploitation. The West has long reaped the benefits of Africa's wealth: gold, oil, diamonds, rare minerals, while leaving behind instability and underdevelopment. The global narrative painted Africans as incapable of managing their own resources. But that narrative is crumbling. Today's African leaders are flipping the script, refusing to be exploited any longer. A new wave of leadership is emerging, younger, visionary, and unapologetically Pan-African. This shift is powerfully reflected in the fight to end the CFA franc, a relic of colonial control still used in parts of West and Central Africa. Leaders like Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré and Mali's Assimi Goïta are challenging this outdated currency system and advocating for an economic model that serves African interests first. Their movement seeks to direct Africa's wealth back into building strong nations through industry, education, and infrastructure. Africa's resources are not only abundant, they are crucial to the global economy. From cobalt and lithium that power modern technology to fertile lands and energy reserves, Africa holds the key to the future. After years of being plundered, African nations are finally taking ownership of these assets, ensuring they serve the people instead of lining the pockets of foreign multinationals. Contrary to the stereotypes, Africa is not reliant on the world. It is one of the only continents capable of sustaining itself. With vast fertile lands, rich mineral reserves, and a growing population of energetic youth, Africa has everything it needs to thrive. This new vision is about more than pride. It's about control, resilience, and rewriting the future on African terms. The era of dependency is ending, and the age of true African independence has begun. Africa is done playing the background role. With a booming youth population, unmatched natural wealth, and a strategically important location, the continent is emerging as a major force in global affairs. The old order, dominated by Western powers, is giving way to a more balanced world, and Africa is stepping into the spotlight. This is not just a shift in economics. It's a fundamental change in who holds power and how global influence is distributed. For centuries, the West set the rules and the rest of the world followed, often at great cost to regions like Africa. But now, the continent is speaking up, demanding not just inclusion but equality. Africa is no longer asking to join the conversation. It is insisting on its place at the table. This is a historic turning point, and the world must decide whether to embrace a fairer global order or cling to outdated systems of control. Africa stands at a defining crossroads. The decisions its leaders make today, and the way Western powers respond, will shape the next chapter of international politics. Will Africa be respected as a true partner, or will old powers resist its rise? One thing is clear: the days of waiting for handouts and external validation are over. Africa is taking control of its destiny, boldly, confidently, and without apology. The message is simple and powerful. Africa is not requesting permission. It's claiming its future. The coming years will not repeat the past. The continent is charting a new course built on sovereignty, resilience, and pride. This new chapter is not a continuation of the old world order. It's a rewrite of the narrative, and Africa is holding the pen. Beyond its vast resources, Africa's true strength lies in its people, particularly its youth. With a median age under 20, the continent is full of energy, innovation, and creative power. This generation is determined to lead, to build, and to disrupt the status quo. From tech startups to music, fashion, and digital finance, young Africans are no longer content to be consumers. They are entrepreneurs, creators, and visionaries shaping the next global wave. As access to education grows and digital infrastructure expands, Africa is no longer just a source of raw materials or cheap labor. It's becoming a vibrant center for technology and high-value industries. The world can no longer afford to ignore Africa's transformation. The continent is carving out a space not as a supplier of what others need, but as a key architect of the future global economy. This transformation threatens to upend the systems that have long benefited Western powers. For generations, those powers exploited Africa's resources while sowing division to maintain control. But that old tactic is losing its grip. African nations are now forging unity and purpose, setting aside old conflicts in pursuit of shared growth and continental strength. Organizations like the African Union and ECOWAS are playing key roles in deepening regional cooperation. These alliances are not just symbolic. They're reshaping the way African countries do business, solve disputes, and engage with the world. Together, they form a collective voice that's much harder to silence or sideline. Meanwhile, global powers are scrambling to secure their influence as Africa rises. China and Russia are investing heavily, seeking partnerships and strategic access. China has focused on critical trade routes and infrastructure, especially in East Africa, while Russia is expanding its diplomatic and economic ties across the continent. This growing foreign attention hasn't gone unnoticed by the West, especially the United States. Africa's rich mineral deposits, essential for defense and technology, have become a geopolitical priority. US policymakers, aware of China's grip on these resources, are proposing strategies like the Reshour Act to reduce reliance on supply chains controlled by Beijing. Africa's importance is no longer a prediction, it's a reality. And as global powers compete for influence, Africa holds the advantage. With strong leadership, a united front, and a clear vision, the continent is not just rising, it's redefining global power on its own terms. A quiet revolution is gaining momentum across Africa, and Ghana has just made one of the boldest moves yet. In a world where global power is rapidly shifting, Africa is no longer waiting for recognition. It's claiming its rightful place. As the continent strengthens regional alliances, invests in its people, and prioritizes sovereignty, it's emerging not as a follower, but as a global force reshaping the future. This evolution reflects a deep transformation, one driven by resilience, vision, and a burning desire for self-determination. Africa is no longer content being seen as a passive supplier of raw materials. Instead, it is becoming a powerhouse of innovation, leadership, and economic influence. The era of being overlooked is ending, and a new chapter is beginning. In a historic and symbolic act, Ghana has chosen to close US military bases on its soil, a move that speaks volumes. This wasn't just a diplomatic decision, it was a firm rejection of foreign control and a declaration of independence. Ghana has drawn a line in the sand, declaring that it will no longer allow external powers to dictate its future. It's a statement of purpose that echoes far beyond its borders. This decision strikes at the heart of a lingering reality. Many African nations have endured decades of foreign interference disguised as partnership. Ghana's action is a clear step away from that legacy. It's about reclaiming control, not just over land, but over national identity, security, and destiny. The message is simple. Africa can manage its own affairs and must be respected as such. The timing couldn't be more significant. As the world transitions into a multipolar order, the influence of traditional global powers is being challenged. Africa's strategic importance is rising, and Ghana's move reflects a broader continental desire to step into a more assertive, equal role on the world stage. It's not just about saying no to foreign troops, it's about saying yes to a future of self-governance. Ghana's bold stance is likely to inspire others. It's a call for fellow African nations to re-examine their ties to global powers and put their own interests first. This is about more than politics or economics. It's about pride, ownership, and long overdue respect. Africa's role is no longer one of quiet submission, but of clear leadership. Of course, this move may spark criticism from the West. Some may frame Ghana's decision as destabilizing or confrontational. But that criticism ignores a painful truth, that Africa's instability was often the result of foreign interference and exploitation. Ghana is simply correcting a long-standing imbalance and reclaiming the power to decide its own path. This moment has the potential to ignite a continental awakening. Ghana is showing that it's possible to challenge the status quo and succeed. Its courage is a signal of growing African confidence and clarity. The world must decide. Will it embrace this new, empowered Africa, or try to push it back into submission? Ghana's decision is more than a national milestone. It's a continental statement. It reflects a future where Africa isn't waiting to be invited to the table, but is building its own. The rise of Africa is no longer a dream. It's a reality in motion. And as Ghana takes the lead, the continent stands ready to follow, not as imitators, but as innovators and leaders of a new world order. Africa is at a pivotal crossroads. The choices made now will shape its destiny for generations. And one thing is certain, Africa is no longer asking for permission. It's demanding respect. This is more than a political shift. It's the dawn of a new era. One where Africa leads with vision, strength, and unshakable purpose. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. We explore the rich history, culture, and the ongoing struggle for sovereignty in Africa. Join us in this important conversation by subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you're not just staying informed, you're becoming part of a movement dedicated to reclaiming Africa's rightful place on the global stage. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Let's work together to spread knowledge and inspire change. Thanks for watching.